was just gonna say she has such a cool background. Mine is like, oh, my mess in the back. How's it going?
We're flicking between the white ones and the black ones. So Jess has got a Sam as a background.
Yeah, it looks great. Cool.
How's it going?
Surviving, man. You know, just kind of like 2 years is too long, man. So it seems like we're not back until next year, right?
Still working on it. Working on it.
Convince them to do it in the fall. If we could get away with doing one in the fall, just one time only kind of thing, that would be amazing. But, you know, it's been too long.
Keep an eye on your email on Monday.
Okay.
That's promising.
And then we'll talk some more.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, because I mean, I have an army of dudes in Europe that they were hoping to go, right, last year, and that whole cancellation, and you know, it's like dudes in France. I mean, the guys that, you know, like a couple of people from Hellfest, one of the guys that works with me in France, two of the guys in Germany, the owner of the company, he's like for the first time ever coming. So, you know, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we were so bummed about missing France. We were so ready. We were like, finally, we're doing it.
Yeah, and you know, like the house that we were gonna get, it's like a small little villa, because like I was telling you guys, that part of town is wine country, and that's one of the most popular places in France for wine. So so yeah, that was one of those things that we were literally walking distance from the venue. We could have just gone back and forth. It's like a 5-minute walk.
Oh, that's amazing.
We're hoping to secure that same thing for 2022, because 2021 is officially canceled because, you know, the festival would have been in May. There's no way there's going to be 100,000 people gathered, or I don't know however many people like assisted, you know.
Yeah,
there's no way.
Yeah, so it just wasn't feasible.
Yeah.
For
next
sure.
Next year. The offer's still standing, so.
Oh yeah, we're in. We're definitely in.
Honeymoon.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, I remember when Jess told me about it, I was like, oh, you're so lucky. Like, try and make a stopover in the UK and come say hi.
Yeah, well, the lineup was insane.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just, but hey, for 2022, I think it's going to be even more insane, because I think they're trying to get Ghost to do a special. I think that's going to be one of those defining moments. I think he's going to debut a bunch of new stuff. So yeah, I mean, countless and countless of bands. I mean, I was telling Sam, it was surreal because I was watching Def Leppard, and next to me, we were watching it with Rob Zombie. You know, Rob Zombie was like he was next to us, right? At that point, we had just signed Rob, and we were talking, and then we're watching Def Leppard, and I don't know if I was texting Sam or whatever, but it was just kind of crazy. Like, yeah, it was pretty awesome. It just
sounded for real, like, to be in that situation.
Yeah, and like the mixture of bands is all over the place. You have classic metal bands all the way down to like the craziest of them all, and everything in between. And it's like, it's super cool because I never expected to be really into French food until I was there, because I always heard like the food is not going to be good, but it was great, you know. And everything they had there, all the vendors, it was all gourmet food. There was no crap. Like, everything was great, and everything was reasonably priced. You know what? They run the festival very similar to Comic-Con. It's a nonprofit. So they get a lot of government assistance, and they also have a lot of sponsorship from brands or these really high-end restaurants that they want to have pop-ups. So they do everything at cost. It's just promotion.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah. So,
yeah.
Anyways, 2022.
Yes, 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, but having Jessica within walking distance of vineyards, I don't know if that's the good idea. You're going to put them out of business.
I know it wasn't for us, to be honest with you, because we drank so much that when we left France, we left like 10 bottles behind. And little by little, Jerome, that you've been in touch with, Sam, he started sending them to me like 2 at a time. And
Nice.
finally got them all here.
Awesome.
There's a wine called, that translation in English is Old Piss. It's a white wine. It's a white wine, and I was like, oh, like Old Piss, and it's just the way they ferment the grapes. It's completely different, right? So it does have that yellowish kind of tone to it, but the wine is ridiculous. So
Oh, that's amazing.
We'll have to have a bottle of Old Piss at our wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Sometimes ignorance really is bliss. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pop out for now. I'll let you guys get to it.
Awesome.
Good seeing you.
Good seeing you, brother.
See you,
I'll see you
Sam.
soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Off he goes.
Back
Awesome.
downstairs. You always get
Back
skipped
to
out.
his dungeon to go play video games.
Jess, is that a Shelby shirt?
Yes,
Awesome.
I wore it
Great.
just on occasion. Awesome.
Yeah, she was showing us just before you popped in. I was like, oh, so nice.
Yeah, I actually have a 69 Mac 1 with the Shelby 428 block. So
Nice.
yeah.
We do have some. I think we do have some car questions we have added. So stay tuned for some.
Oh yeah, I'm a cart maniac. I just I'm pretty much a contradiction of everything, because I'm a very green type person, not because of the association with the label, but I love the environment, but I love my muscle cars. So
Yep.
It's like, balances itself out. They're pretty though, to be honest. That's the kind of cars. Because when Jess sent us the like told us like the little bits that we could ask as well, and I was like, he likes cars. What cars does he like? And I've literally got a list. So I was like,
awesome.
but if you ask me anything about the engines or anything like that, I don't know. I just look at it, and go, that's so pretty. I want to go in it.
Yeah, they need to be loud and they need to be fast. Let's just put it that way. So.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree. Sorry, we've got to go off on a tangent as usual. We can never start like normal people.
Yeah.
All of our Q&As do this. This is perfectly normal for us though too. So yeah.
Oh, this is how our meetings are, especially nowadays. I think that breaking the ice on Zoom or Teams or whatever, we just kind of got in the habit of like starting our calls, and it's kind of like a free forum of just random crap, and until, all right, yeah, cool, like here's the agenda. And then it's just kind of like, but I don't know, it's just, it is what it is. It could be worse things to be talking about.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I was going to say, yeah, that is literally us to a T, isn't it? It's like, load of rubbish. Oh crap, yeah, we've got questions.
Yeah.
Completely forget what we're doing.
The first 3 months of COVID, I'm in IT, and I've got one or two IT questions I do want to ask you later. But the first 3 months, all of our IT related webinars I'm on, everyone's always trying to be professional and get right to the subject. And within the first 5 minutes, everyone's like, "Oh, is that your cat? Is that your dog? What kind of a dog is that?"
Yeah.
Completely derails the entire thing. So after the first 3 months or so, everyone's like, you know what? Bring your cat on. Let your cat just sit right there for the entire presentation. Go ahead. We don't care anymore. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And the good things we're doing these, I've literally, I shouldn't really say it, but I'm sat here with my pajama bottoms on. It's amazing. It's great. Just chill. Fantastic. Sorry. So anyway, hello anyway. And can you tell us, like, just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do, like your actual role?
Okay, so very interesting question, because my role just changed not long ago, although the bulk of what I do hasn't really changed in for a while. So my name is Gerardo Martinez, and I'm the general manager for Nuclear Blast Records in the entire American continent. But I've expanded my role into more responsibility helping oversee the international operation, mainly in Europe. So in addition to the American continent, I have some responsibilities in terms of overseeing certain aspects of the business in Europe. In Europe, I share the responsibility with 2 other people. So the European responsibility is it's like a 3-way kind of split, whereas the Americas is just myself and obviously my team. So I've been with the company for almost 20 years. I started in my early 20s, and I haven't looked back. So basically the job itself is to make sure that all the departments are running efficiently. I'm in charge of all the different departments at the label here in the Americas, everything from marketing to distribution, manufacturing, direct to consumer affairs, PR, et cetera, et cetera. We've divided the responsibilities as far as the day-to-day stuff, like operational duties and whatnot. So I don't have to be the micromanager, basically. So there's people responsible for these other subdivisions, but I make sure that, you know, the lights stay on and we survive, and, you know, we continue to acquire talent, you know, signing a lot of artists, or at least we try to, you know, grow our catalog and look for a lot of opportunities outside the box, because that's one of the things I feel we've been doing pretty well as far as any metal label goes. I feel like we are the ones that have done the most outside the box type marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that with COVID and everything, it's obviously made a lot of, like, especially getting new talents, a lot harder. And stuff like that. It was the company, like the record company, actually made any sort of changes to actually try and do this a bit more easier during the pandemic. Like, I'm trying to think how to explain it. Like, to see newer talent and stuff. Are you
Yeah, that was
YouTube and things?
honestly, yeah. You're when obviously excuse my French, but when shit hit the fan around March. By mid-March, late March, we were already having discussions on how we could help our talent, because there was a lot of artists that got basically derailed. They were either in the middle of recording sessions, they were either in the middle of writing sessions, they were about to go and hit the studio, they were about to go on tour. There was one band in particular that got hit super bad as far as financial disaster goes. They had already spent so much money in investing in new transportation, production of tour merchandise, et cetera, et cetera. So they ended up being like close to $250,000 in the hole with merchandise, with tour dates that obviously never happened. So we assisted a lot of our bands, some of their loans, so to speak, merchandise and product that they would buy from us directly. We'd let them, you know, we give them longer terms to pay. In some cases, when the bands needed assistance with loans and in situations like that, we went ahead and helped them. But we also, I think the biggest help was to encourage them to continue to write and release content, because, you know, regardless of what the methods were, the bands got very creative in terms of like figuring out how to get together, right? So initially there was the fear factor that they couldn't get together, they had to stay home. But a couple of months later, I want to say that we saw the interruption maybe for a couple of months, but then after that, it's been super smooth, because these artists got it, you know, and they're like, okay, this is not going to go anytime soon, so we might as well adjust the new normal. So the new normal means like they either quarantined themselves, they made sure that they were good to go, they got together, they isolated themselves from everyone, wrote music, came up with a bunch of stuff. And so far, I want to say that these artists, probably some of them have come up with the best material they've ever done. And in some cases, they've come up with material that's probably the best since their classic album. So it's really good. It's actually kind of made them hungrier and angrier and just more focused on that particular part, because the livelihood of them writing to go on tour and doing that stuff was taken away from them. So that in itself was just, I mean, it's culture shock. It's just, you know, these dudes have been on tour in some cases for 30 years straight, 20 years straight, 10 years straight. And the moment that you know, they're at home, they don't know what to do with themselves. They're calling me every 5 minutes. They're texting me every minute. It's insane, right? So in that regard, I think I've gained a bunch of gray hair more than before, just because you know, the babysitting part of it is it's changed. But yeah, no, we've been very helpful. I feel, you know, we've been able to enable them to continue to write and release music. We encourage our artists not to miss a beat, because that will be counteractive for their career in general.
Yeah.
And the business.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of bands we've spoke to have, like, they're starting to get back into the sort of swing of things again, but were struggling right at the beginning, like you know, just trying to write. I think one of our bands that we've interviewed, they were trying to do an album, but they're like trying to get like all together to do that, and obviously COVID's just messed everything up for everybody. It's like a new learning experience, I think. Yeah. In a way, but it's really important, like, to try and get the best of a bad situation, isn't it? Like, that's what a few have said as well.
Yeah, it's just like I said, I think it took away a big part of their business, obviously their income, but it gave them the ability to maybe spend a longer time together, maybe writing, being in the studio. I think that in itself was a positive thing, just because in the past they probably neglected that, and in a lot of ways some of these artists forgot that at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, you know, spending a lot more time with your bandmates, rather than just, you know, because a lot of these artists that at this point in their career, it's the business primarily, and then the rest is whatever comes next, you know, either the touring or whatever. But I think it really, I don't know, if I were to be this maybe just romantic, you know, positive thinker, you know, I think just focusing on the positives of what this disaster brought was the ability for them to find inspiration to create content and music, and basically write good stuff. And, you know, right now our release schedule is super packed this year, and already 2022 is shaping out to be extremely packed. So no complaints in that regard. As far as the effect, I don't know if that's a further question down the line, but as far as the direct effect into the marketplace, yes, we got hit hard, mainly not because of our own ability, but because of Amazon, as an example. Like, immediately when Amazon, they went into this frantic mode where anything entertainment related took the back seat. So what normally would take 2 days to get to a customer started taking a month, right? Because they put all these things in the background. So what we did is we always have the direct to consumer approach, right? So we sell direct. In the first floor in our office, we have a full setup for, you know, fulfillment and all sorts of things. So we basically took it upon ourselves to take care of most of these pre-orders and new releases. So what Amazon's slackiness or whatever, it turned in our favor, but at the same time, a lot of the mass retail, you know, stores started closing down everywhere. So, you know, in the last 10 years, it was a really cool resurgence of indie stores, right? So 20 years ago, retail was going down, right? Thanks to like Walmart and Best Buy and stores like that basically killed the small mom and pops. But in the past 10 years, there's been a resurgence, mainly because of vinyl and limited edition stuff. So that was really cool, but this pandemic killed them.
Yeah.
It completely annihilated all these small stores, which is horrible. Small chains that they've disappeared. Just the ratios, like 8 out of 10 stores in the US have closed down, and the 2 remaining open, they bring nowhere the business that they used to do. So our losses in terms, just the volume, to anywhere between 30 to 35% for previous years, which is, for as bad as it sounds, it's nowhere near as bad as for other companies that either have folded or about to go out of business. So, we consider ourselves extremely grateful and lucky, but it's not just the pure luck in itself. I think it's just a true testament of people adapting and adjusting to these new demands, right? So, yeah.
Has the pandemic affected you personally, your professional and personal life? Especially, because you've got a sort of learning curve with this as well, like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the contradiction comes, because I hate big gatherings, but I need to be in big gatherings, and I quite love big gatherings the same way I hate the big gatherings, right? So that is the biggest change, right? So the concerts are gone, the big meetings are gone, the traveling is gone. I personally love traveling. I know a lot of people hate traveling. I love traveling. I just love the experience of getting in an airplane. I don't know, I'm crazy, but
I love travel too. I'm right there with you. I love a good road trip myself. I hear you
yeah.
on that one. Yep.
So yeah, either driving or flying, I love it, right? So for me, that has been the biggest shock, right? But at the same time, I feel that has made me, I don't know, it's just, it gives you a different perspective on things, and it kind of gives you extra focus to do certain things. So not traveling right now has made me get, I don't know, it's like, I feel like there were things that I was either ignoring or not paying too much attention to because other people were doing them. But now it's given me the chance to look at details, probably more so than before. But yeah, that's the main, that's how it's affected me the most. As far as like staying home, my office is 10 minutes away from me, and 8 minutes if there's no traffic. I don't have to get on the freeway. I don't have to so I don't have road rage. Let's just put it that way, which is awesome in SoCal, because here in California, everyone hates each other on the road. And it's like you're like the road warrior. It's like Mad Max, you know what I mean? Like you're fighting these people. So for me, that hasn't changed, because most of my guys here, we sent them home in March, and they haven't been back since. The people that work in the warehouse, fulfilling orders and all that stuff, they work staggered hours. So it's a 2 and 2 shift. So 2 people are only allowed to see each other, obviously distancing themselves, and then there's a new shift, so that works perfect. But as far as like here, the main office, it's just me and sometimes the one of the finance people that shows up, but I get the office to myself, and I mean, honestly, no people, I get a lot more done, and it's crazy to say that. I do miss seeing my team. There's nothing like the interaction and the chemistry that you get from people, but I think this is the time to do the things that you need to do on your own. But yeah, I mean, the changes are drastic. I honestly, I don't know how we're going to reintegrate ourselves into society when things kind of go back to normal. I think the changes are permanent, to be honest with you. We're down the street from YouTube here in Culver City. There's a lot of Google offices left and right, or where they closed the one in Venice, I think. 60% of those people are not going to be required to go back to the office. They're going to be working from home. So Google has already sent that mandate. I mean, that's pretty insane, right? 60% of their employees, they're going to be working from home. So I think this kind of changed things for a lot of people, and it probably made a lot of people realize that they could actually work from home. For us, I think it's a combination. We do need to see the team from time to time. But yeah, I mean, it has affected me, but it's mostly because I haven't been able to go out and take the meetings that I supposed to take. There's nothing like a face-to-face meeting with a new artist that you just signed, or talking to a manager, a booking agent, business manager, et cetera, et cetera. It's just not the same, you know? So that is the only thing that I truly 100% miss as part of the job. But, you know, we're getting by, so that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm the only person at my office. I'm there all by myself. So it's the best because I can crank my music as loud as I want. Nobody else is there.
Mm-hmm.
And just run around, get all my work done, and just rock out all over the office.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, for me, it's like I order food and I have crap everywhere. And if I just want to go down and take the bicycle, I just do a few laps in the parking lot. There's no one there. Come back and just crank out the music. We're usually super quiet for being a record label that releases obnoxious, fast, loud music. We're actually super quiet, and it's only loud when I'm here by myself. When I'm around people, I don't like listening to loud music because it's just like the combination of people talking and the music just gets me anxious. So I get anxiety, you know. So being alone, sometimes it's awesome. Yeah. And I'm not usually a loner, you know what I mean? That sounds cool in the romantic side of things. Like romantically speaking, being a lone wolf sounds awesome, but it really doesn't work because at the end of the day, you miss people.
Yeah. Definitely miss people.
Yeah.
Exact same. Yep. Agreed.
That sort of ties in with the sort of question. It's like, what is the biggest misconception that people believe like about you and your line of work?
Yeah, that's the one that I always tell people. If I were to be a total cynic and tell you, I think it's 80% drama and bullshit and 20% fun. However, out of the 20% fun, it's like fucking volume 666. It's like it's the highest of the high. But majority of it is so much drama behind the scenes. Everyone thinks that as soon as you walk into the office, people are doing lines of coke on people's butts, and you use a lot of drugs, and you do this and that. And while that might be available sometimes to certain people in some bands, not here, obviously, because we need to be, you know, correct. That's the biggest misconception. People think that it's so glamorous, and they think that it's always like a party. Yeah. I mean, we're so quiet here. Our neighbors in the other office, they do high-end radar and sensors for the government for deep underground. They basically measure Earth's natural evolution in terms of like the soils and the movements and readjustments. So they do sensors that go miles down, and they send these signals to the government telling what the changes are anyway. So that the guys next to us they're high tech, but they also sell other stuff for other industries. They're very loud. They're always playing music in their plays. Here we are releasing Rob Zombie or Slayer or Exodus music, and we're super quiet. Like, and the funny thing is, like, we also have Ministry, right? So the guy, the singer, you know, Al from Ministry, he's a character, right? Sometimes he showed up and he's like the loudest dude, and you know, whatever, but then he walks into the office and he starts like speaking like he's just gone into church or something, you know. And it's hilarious because the other neighbors next to us, we used to have a popular museum for the Cold War, the Window Museum. They since moved to a bigger location, but prior to that, we had the Cold War Museum next to us. In front of us, we have a bunch of different movie studios. Across the street from us is a big popular movie studio. The guy who owns that studio was the manager of Lorena Bobbitt, if you guys remember that. Yeah. Okay. So
snip, snip. We remember. Yes.
yeah. So when she was involved, like, because she was like a wannabe actress or something, right? Anyway, so when that documentary, you could see they interview our neighbor or whatever. So, but those studios are so big that they don't really need them. So 2 of the largest rooms, they're rented out to a lot of these big bands when they go on tour. Janet Jackson rehearses there. The Rolling Stones rehearse, and it's funny because you wouldn't even know until you start seeing these people that they take smoke breaks or whatever, right? And we saw like 2 of the Rolling Stones guys like smoking like chimneys, and there they were, these little tiny people. They were very tiny. They were like Ewoks, you know. And we saw Beyonce was one of the people that rehearses there before like her tours. Like we've seen a bunch of random people like here. Those are our neighbors, right? So out of all this stuff, they would think that we're the craziest. We're the most quiet people here besides the cemetery, because we also have a cemetery next to us where Bela Lugosi is buried. So Dracula is buried next to us.
Oh, that's cool.
And
Wow.
John Candy and some other like huge old Hollywood celebrities, because you know Culver City is basically Hollywood. This is where majority of these movie studios are. So these are our neighbors. So
okay, I got to stop by there one day just to pay respects to John. Wow.
Yeah. So it's cool. Where's everyone based? Well, I know where you are, Jess. So Scotty, you're in England.
Yeah, England. So originally Scottish, hence Scotty, and then I'm in Leicester, England. So.
Yeah, I have to be very proper because I have a lot of British bands, and when I say the UK, they're like England, you know, and I was like, all right, cool, or Scottish. I used to deal with 2 Scottish bands actually. Yeah. So.
Oh, which Scottish bands did you deal with? Sorry, am I allowed to ask?
Yeah. Well, I think they moved. Is a band called Annotations of an Autopsy.
Okay, I've not heard of them, sadly.
Yeah, and the other band was like pretty unknown. I think they changed their name. What was their original name? I don't even remember, but they changed their name so many times. But you know, just random artists that I've dealt with. Yeah.
I'm just really nosy.
Yes, I'm here from Australia.
Aaron's all the way in Australia.
Who's in Australia?
Yeah, Erin, right here. Hi.
Oh, there you go. See, I haven't seen your face. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Erin. So what time is it in Australia right now?
It's 7:35 Sunday morning.
Oh, crap. That's crazy. Talk about it. Yeah. See, I have Australian bands too. So I actually have I used to work with a band from Tasmania. They're called Psychroptic. And they're like total Tasmanian devils. Like the dude, the singer, sounds like a Tasmanian devil. Like he makes these sounds because he sings. He does this thing too where he sings inwards. It's crazy. It's like a really crazy technique, and it's
Wow.
Crazy Aussies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a mad bunch. Yeah.
You really are, yeah. But we love you.
Yeah, and Aaron, since he is a car guy, introduce your dog.
Yes, Hemi. We have a dog called Hemi.
Oh,
yes, I'm married to a mechanic who loves everything Mopar related. So
really, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a Mopar guy actually. I broke the seal of loyalty to Mopar when I bought my Mustang, my '69 Mach 1, but that's okay because there's some sort of lineage going on between Ford and Dodge, because you know the Dodge brothers were Ford technicians. So all right, let's not get too geeky on the car stuff, but yeah,
that's okay.
that's awesome. Hemi.
Yeah,
very nice.
And Charlie or Charles, whichever you prefer, I'm outside the suburbs of Chicago.
Cool.
Yeah.
Last time I was there was not last year, almost a year and a half ago when Slayer were doing their farewell tour. Yeah, so every time I go to Chicago, I eat a lot of food. Like that's the place to eat the food.
We've got some of the best, no question. Every single person of my co-hosts here, they've got open invites. They come visit me. I will take them to some of the best foods they have ever had. I hands down guarantee it. Yes.
Yeah, I believe it.
I'm ready.
And even a number of the bands we've interviewed too, I've told them, hey, you guys come here, you will not leave here hungry, I promise.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
Definitely on the bucket list to try and come out and see these guys at some point. So we'll see. And I'm gonna, all the weight I've lost, I'm gonna put it all back on before I come home. Like, hello. But yeah.
Awesome.
No, we're all over the world, aren't we, guys? More or less. Yeah.
Every time zone.
Every time.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep. We're pretty much 24/7, aren't we, guys?
So you guys all work together? You guys work for the same company, or this is just like a fun, you guys just a bunch of friends?
Just this, yeah.
Yeah.
We've never met in person. None of us have met in person. We all met through a band that we all really liked, and we just became really close, and then decided, like, we did a Q&A to start, and we were the ones that ended up helping kind of organize stuff, and we're like, let's just keep doing this. This is really fun. So
what's the band?
Oh, it was a Frog Leap, Leo. I think Sam sent you some of their stuff.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
awesome.
gonna play.
Yeah, don't meet in person. You guys are probably gonna hate each other, so keep it like that.
We talk pretty much all day long, so yeah.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But no, I think it'll be epic when we do all get into the one time zone and be face to face. I think, yeah.
It's going to be sick. We're going to be drunk. We're going to forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that for us, for me, that was Comic-Con, right? Because I have a lot of friends in the industry now. Like, I mean, we've been there for, it's going to be 18 years. It would have been our 17th year, I think. Yeah, so I've developed so many friendships, the people that work for Hasbro, like personally, the guy who is basically the VP of Hasbro right now, he's in charge of Transformers and G.I. Joe and these brands. He's a huge metalhead I've known for so many years. And yeah, it's just, it's almost like high school reunion every year. It was so awesome because we were looking forward to that. And yeah, so that was like, yeah, so I guess
you just said two of the staples of my childhood right there, G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Yeah,
he's probably getting excited.
Oh yeah.
So for me, I'm like everything G.I. Joe, like it's ridiculous, right? So and it's funny because there's so many connections between G.I. Joe and heavy metal. Like there's a lot of artists on our label that worship G.I. Joe, and it's just crazy, now that we're at an age, for some of us in our early 40s, but there's people in their 30s or people in their early 50s or whatever. G.I. Joe was, I'm an 80s G.I. Joe, Cobra versus G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah.
I'm that. So you see that generation of kids who grew up in the 80s. I mean, I was born in the late 70s, but I grew up in the 80s. So once you start seeing these people, it's almost like these people are in positions now to actually be at some of these companies, and you start seeing how their fandom actually kind of developed into something super professional, and they're doing an awesome job with the brands. Whereas 10, 20 years ago, like we were all like hating what they were doing to the toy, and it's like, pink weapons, what the, like, why are you guys doing that? Like, it's horrible, and look at the packaging, it sucks. And whereas now, like these dudes that were fans, they grew up. I mean, I grew up listening to the music. Now I'm at a place where I could actually help my idols. You know what I mean? Like it makes a big difference because that extra care for what you do makes a big difference, as opposed to like some random guy that just got the job, So
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just got to throw the quick question at you then. Being a Transformers fan, I'm hoping you are you familiar with Cybertronic Spree?
Yes.
Good. I was hoping you were. Okay, cool.
Well, my friend, his name is Jerry Javoine. He is my Transformers you know, how would I say? He's the guy that gives me the secrets, even though I'm not supposed to know them.
He's your insider. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he runs those brands, right? So, but once in a while, he'll tell me like, "Hey, we're gonna go live with this pre-order for, you know, for the GI Joe stuff." You know, I have so many GI Joes. Hold on.
Okay. I'm loving this. It's great.
We love it. We love it when people come up with their personal stuff, don't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh, God,
so
yes.
I just got this.
Oh, Fang? Seriously? Oh my God.
Yeah, so this is the reissue they did through Walmart, and let's be honest, buying shit from Walmart is the worst buying experience.
Oh, yeah.
Thankfully, I don't have any Walmarts near where I live because, you know, people at Walmart, it is true, right?
Oh, yeah.
It does exist.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the hiss.
And you got the hiss too. Oh my God, that is so cool.
So basically what I do is like, I test my luck. I pre-order stuff through Walmart, and you know, they don't package things correctly. They use the biggest box available. They throw this shit in there and they add like a thin layer piece of paper as padding.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come destroyed, sometimes they don't. So I just go to eBay and I just pay $10, $20 extra. I don't care. You know,
Yeah.
I just buy a couple of each just to serve my hoarding addiction.
I hear you.
And that's it. I'm happy. Plus, sometimes I get a bunch of free shit from my friend or friends. I've known a bunch of people. So, but yeah, I still buy. I mean, I buy comics. I only buy GI Joe comics, by the way. I love the culture, but there's no way I'm gonna buy all the 1,000 Wolverines, the 200 Spider-Mans. Like, there's no way. I will be broke by now.
Agreed.
And I just don't want to be buying. I don't want to be working just for this, you know. So
yeah.
So you just ask Sam to send them to you, right?
You know, but like IDW in San Diego, I know some of the people there, but the same. I'm subscribed. You know, I buy the stuff. Sometimes when I get free stuff, it feels great just because it feels like you're getting some additional stuff that no one has, or, you know, I got some really cool high-end stuff. Hold on, let me show off this thing. So I got this Cobra Commander that's like super limited, right?
Oh, wow.
The packaging is just ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
It's like
Oh, that is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's like some die cut stuff. Yeah, so it's.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, that is nuts.
You're okay,
Yeah, so it's
Charlie.
super
It's
cool.
all right.
I'm a little lightheaded. I'm not going to argue. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had the ability to pre-order this. I mean, I paid for it, but they gave me the chance to be a lucky person who was able to buy it and not some sort of robot buying a bunch of these, like, you know, these bots that they, you know. So anyway, so that's my G.I. Joe thing, you know. As you guys can tell, I love G.I. Joe. So
yeah.
Are you okay, Charlie? Are you
I'm
all right?
okay. I'm okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were going to try and get like through the computer screen and it doesn't
No.
work like that, babe.
I'm not that bad. No, I just mad respect though. That's for sure. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Everybody's always into something, isn't it? There's always somebody for something.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. You gotta let your geek flag fly, and that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they'll attest for you. I mean, you see right here next to me, I've got the Coliseum. I'm a Lego fanatic. That's my thing.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's the Coliseum is the current largest Lego set at over 9,000 pieces.
Oh wow.
That took me about
insane.
26 hours over 3 weeks to build. I've got all of these sets that I still haven't even assembled yet.
That's
I've got
crazy.
46 sets that I haven't even put together yet. And I've got sets all over my condo here in different places. So, but Legos are my thing. So yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yep. And as Charlie knows, I'm a massive horror fan. I'm ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to do next week's interview. I think I'm going to lose my mind. I'm like, oh. So.
What kind of horror?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
feel like, yes, but not supernatural. I think it's boring and a bit crap. But That's mean. But more like slasher type stuff. I love like old like slashers, like the old Nightmare on Elm Street -2, but we don't talk about that. Halloween, Friday the 13th. I like sort of like smart horror movies as well. Like there's a movie called Hush. I'm not going to shut up now. There's a movie called Hush where it's literally the whole movie silent, and I just think something that's a little bit different. I think that's smart.
So you like 80s stuff too, right?
Mainly,
a lot.
Yeah. Oh,
Are you familiar with the Sleepaway Camp?
Oh, do you know what? I've not watched them yet, and I'm really bad because I know I should have actually have watched them, but I do know the twist in the first one though. Oh, now I find it boring. I'm just like, oh, who gives a crap?
It's some of that stuff gives me anxiety, to be honest with you. I like I enjoy seeing, this is going to sound horrible, but if we're watching a horror movie, I like when someone annoys me in the movie, I enjoy when they get killed brutally.
I agree.
Like, I just laugh how they get killed because that person is annoying the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But I don't like when it's like, these possessions and like the mom starts going nuts and kills everyone. You know what I mean? Like those things are just like, oh,
No, I agree.
Any movie like that where they kill the dog, or they kill, that pisses me off. I'm sorry, it always pisses me off.
Yeah, that's when I watched John Wick. That was the thing. I was like, not the baby, not the dog.
I know, it was heartbreaking. I actually cried. I was like, oh. Yeah. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
What sets people off, don't it?
Yeah.
Not cool, man. Not cool. No.
And that dog was seriously cute, though. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah. Oh no, I love it. So yeah, like I said, everybody's got their own little thing, though, don't they? So.
Oh yes.
That's ours. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We definitely do in this house. We have lots of collections, many different ones.
Awesome.
The blending of them.
Yeah, Jess is not allowed near anything anymore, are you? Did Sam by any chance tell you about that?
I mean, I have it here. Oh, so bad. Gerardo, you'd be mad at me. We were getting ready for an interview, and I used to sit downstairs, and we have this bookshelf, and we have all of Sam's Batman statues that he gets.
Yeah.
You know, really rare ones that a gift that someone gives him.
Yeah.
I was trying to move. It's this black and white one, and the stand is his cape, and then he's like Batman's like jumping up, you know.
Yeah.
And I moved it, but I moved it, and I didn't quite have a good grip on it, and I shoved it off the counter. And it shattered. It was like his favorite one.
How many days did he go by not talking to you?
I turned off my camera. I got off with them and talked about it. I felt so bad. He knew I felt horrible. I felt so horrible. Funny. But it was one of those, like, he wrapped it up, like put it in a bag, and we still have it, and it's like buried. It's put away. It's like, I'm not throwing it away. It's not totally done. It's just buried. We don't look at it. It's so sad.
Can you guys fix it? No.
No, it's not fixable. No. Mm-mm. And that's actually the second one I broke, but hey.
Well, you know what? I thought that I broke. So my friend sent me these two really cool statues, Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, right? They're bookends, but the detail was ridiculous, right? So he packaged them really well, and FedEx just proceeded to beat the crap out of one. So when I got it, legs were off, destroyed, the torso, Snake Eyes. And I was super bummed out. I have a couple of friends that work for Sideshow Collectibles, and they're sculptors. So I was like, I showed them the figures and statues, and they're like, yeah, we could fix them. And they did. They glued them, and then they put epoxies, and then they just spray painted, like airbrushed them, and just gave them back to me, and they look like nothing ever happened. So there is ways to. I'm not telling you to do it because, but I know that other people that could do like these dudes that do the sculptures and all that kind of stuff, they'll do it. They could fix it.
So she's saying, go through Sam's Rolodex, find someone from Sideshow, and send him the remains.
I could actually, if Sam sends me a picture, then I could probably talk to. Because see, the funny thing with Sideshow is that two of the guys that work at Sideshow grew up in the Bay Area, and they grew up worshiping this band Exodus that we have on the label. And for them, that was like their all-time favorite band. So every time there's an Exodus show, actually, we had Exodus 2 years ago at Comic-Con, and they absolutely they sponsor Sideshow, sponsor our show. So they've been our sponsor for the last 3 years. They sponsored the Ministry show, Testament, Exodus. What else? They did some other stuff. I think they sponsored this later show too. So yeah, these guys would probably, if I ask them.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can work something out. Maybe I'll get out of the dog.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that was kind of good luck that you mentioned that then, eh? It's like, oh, oh,
Damn.
honestly, it was bad because it went down with such a thud. I thought she fell because I'd looked down and I looked up. I was like, what's happened? And she's like, oh, I broke it. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I hid under the desk. I'm like, oh god. The stress. I'm like, oh no. Bless her heart. Bless
Sounds
Johnny.
good.
All right, we still like each other. We're fine. We're good.
That was probably your test. All right, Sam. You
Definitely.
love me.
We survived. We survived.
Awesome.
Oh goodness. Okay, so I think let's see. We've got a few more questions. I think we've answered actually a bunch of them just in our little side.
Yeah, I tend to just run off my mouth. I normally don't talk to a lot of people, but that's probably because if I had social media, I would probably get in trouble just because I talk so much shit. So
I would love to see that.
yeah, no, I trust me, I contain myself because sometimes what I witness sometimes with people, I'm just like, wow. I'm like, yeah, social media should be banned sometimes or regulated. See, that sounds horrible to say that, but I think for some people, regulating social media is
Yeah, but
a must.
us like casual viewers can sit there and just watch the shit show basically. You're like, what is happening? You know what I mean? And definitely there's a lot of
If
people
nothing
that-
else, you always need like a best friend to kind of be like, should I really post this? Just
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they'll be like, no, you dummy, don't post that. Every once in a while, they'll be like, oh yeah, go ahead and post that. We'll just see what
Yeah.
happens. But
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they'll save your ass and be like, okay, no, you should not post that. I'll stop you. Every once in a while, they'll let something go through though. Yeah.
Yeah, there needs to be checks and balances. Yeah, that's something that a lot of figureheads don't have. Modern day politicians don't have that, as we know. You know.
Yeah, we'll just
I was
we'll
literally
leave
just
that there.
thinking
But
of
yeah.
I was going to say, I was just thinking of a name and I'm pretty sure that's who you're talking about. I was like, yes, it is. So yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
We're all on the same page on this one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's. I think the real issue here is the war on ignorance, and when an ignorant, super bad person has the same platform and technology to be able to voice his or her opinion, it's like running around with like high-end weaponry trying to kill you, and you don't have him, but that person does. So you're gonna lose. You know, that's just kind of like the way it is. So it's crazy to say that, but yeah. That's why. See, that's why I don't have social media. Just because it gives me anxiety every time I hear from people that I know in my life, and they start telling me these stories about people posting, you know, like all these things, and I'm like, holy crap! I would probably lose my mind if I just spend 2 seconds reading, you know, what these people are going through. However, what I do does require a great deal of that, but I'm not the artist. I'm not the professional selling my content. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of the reason why I've been able to keep myself sane, because I'm not on social media. The company is, and I work with the company and for the company, so I don't need to be that face. People know me, but they also know that if they really know me, they talk to me and I will give them an unfiltered version of things. And that's when, that's because they have access to me. Not everyone does. Otherwise, I would go myself. Like I would go crazy, to be honest. Like it's just, it's yeah. I mean, you could ask Sam,
Yeah.
the people asking him, hey, I didn't get all my badges. Like I have 25 people and I only got 10. I've seen it live. I've seen it in front of me when they're asking him all these questions, and I could just see him like he just wants to bring a shotgun and then kill all these people. You know what I mean? So I feel his pain. It's the same thing that applies to me if I'm in some sort of like music convention, like be it NAMM or when I used to go to the Grammy committee or any situation where you're at a show and then all these people hit you up like, hey, here's my demo, or listen to my band. Hey, why is it that you didn't sign my band? Oh, you didn't reply to this. And it's just like, wow, like I just kind of want to, crawl out of that area and just leave them talking, to themselves. So I know that was one of the questions. That's why I avoid social media. I just think that there's so much stupidity out there that I will probably point it out and get in trouble. So
it's weird that you've mentioned that, because I was speaking to somebody else about it who is on social media, and it says, there's a lot of people are always just like it's continuous. It never stops. It's like constant, like, why have you not messaged me back? Why are you not liking my post? Blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, it's like a wave. It just don't stop. Just keeps going. Just keeps coming. And I can completely understand like where they're coming from in that sort of sense. If it's constant, you know what I mean? So I think you have like with you saying about like bands wanting to know why you didn't sign them and stuff like that. It's like, you're only one person. You can't come back with every single person you've said no to, you know what I mean? It's not possible.
Yeah, and it's just, again, I'd like to keep my sanity just so I could continue. I feel like if I had social media, I would probably hate my life, and I don't want that, because I'm a very happy person, to be honest. I'm always laughing and I'm always making fun of things, so I just don't want that to stop. I see people being so miserable, being total slaves of social media. I think it is an addiction, and I also think that it's an actual problem. I see it more as a problem, to be honest with you. And you know how big of a problem it is when people are actually publicly quitting social media. It's like, why do you need to tell people that you're going to quit social media? You know what I mean? Just disappear, So, but hey, I understand the fact that social media is so essential for the core of our business, and we're well represented in that regard, because it's the work, it's the label, right? So these things are not missing a beat. They're taken care of. That's why we have professionals handling this, and that's why I like being behind the scenes. No question about that. I feel like I'm more helpful to everyone by not being the focal point. I don't need to be that person. Like my ego is not that big, to be honest with you. Like I'm more worried about getting these things not damaged.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely like your priorities there. Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder though, if you had like some of these older bands that you have been part of the music industry for a really long time, like I wonder if social media was what it is today for them. I think there's a good percentage of people of those bands where it would have taken them to crazy places, and like, I mean, even more than they are now. And I think some of them, it would have just tanked them. Like some of those bands, it would have just.
Yeah, that's a super awesome point, actually. I just had that conversation with someone, because you're right. See, an artist back in the 80s, right? So they had to go through the whole like press junket, go on a press tour. Sometimes they will do things that immediately will get them in trouble, but it was such a region, it was so region based. Like if it was like in Spokane, Washington, where they said, hey, I don't care about you guys, we just do music for ourselves. That's it. That would stay there. That will be something, an isolated incident that would get handled right away. But right now, if someone like that would say that, like on the internet, it's like, holy shit. Like these guys will get completely like, you know, canceled, which I hate all that shit, by the way, but we can get into that later. So, but at the same time, I feel that if the positives of being these awesome artists with the technology and the advantages of social media today, then if these artists develop some sort of like solid status, they'll probably be megastars, and the megastars will be like these fucking gods. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I see that. So I put that in, you know, we're, again, funny that you mentioned that, because we were just talking about that, how it would have made them or it would have killed them. In some cases, I think a lot of bands probably would have been like completely either in jail or just like not making any records. And I'm just talking about everything. I mean, look at R. Kelly. I mean, imagine if this whole culture was around when he was dating, what's her name? Aaliyah?
Oh,
Yeah. When she was like 14, right? It's just like, wow. I mean, and look at it, 20 plus years later, it's a huge deal, right? So imagine if social media was the way it is now then.
yeah.
I mean, but then you also look at, you know, from different perspectives, maybe that would have made it maybe not so okay for people to just turn away and ignore things that were happening. So yeah, so I don't know. I think this is probably going to take some years to be calibrated, because you have too much extremes. Like there's so many extremes. There's the ultra bullying, you know, type people, but there's also the cancel culture people. Like these two extremes, whether they're right or left, they're bad because they're not really there for your best interest. There's no, you know, all these moral patrol type people. It's like, how the hell do they know? You know, it's like, it's their opinion, and their opinion should be that, their opinion, and it should not be the measuring unit for what people do. There's something called due process, you know, like there's all these things that they just ignore. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen this documentary called Crime Scene about the Cecil Hotel here in LA.
Okay. Yeah.
So that black metal artist, right? Morbid. I mean, the fucking guy, I mean, he probably has tried to kill himself because he's so depressed. Like he went through depression because these people just wanted him out. And I mean, the guy had been there a year prior, you know what I mean? And they're accusing him, and a good friend of mine actually has started managing him. So it's recent to me, because yesterday, you know, like she sent me a song and I was like, this is pretty good. And she's like, oh, that's this guy Morbid. And I was like, whoa, I guess he's, you know, inspired again to make music. But see, it's just horrible how this has been handled, you know, from both sides. You know, I think both of these new cultures are just not friendly for any of us. They don't have our best interest, you know. They just, it's deeply rooted in the, you know, just like I said before, you know, when ignorance has the same amount of weapons as smart people do, there's more ignorant people in this world, sadly. So they're going to win because they have the same ability to get their voice out there, you know, and no one's checking facts, right? Like fact checking does not exist anymore. It just is like, if you fact check people, well, I mean, you probably do, but I mean, but if you fact check people, then they just tell you that it's a conspiracy. And how do you get these people from stopping from saying that shit? It just doesn't. So therefore, that's why I'm like, you know what? If this, that's not my place to say anything. But I do get very, it does bother me a lot that this so-called cancel culture thing exists. I think it's very unjust, and I think it's very, yeah, it's not fair for a lot of these artists. It's not fair for us because these people are ruining other people's lives and they're not really taking anything in consideration. I'm not defending the people that are probably guilty. I do feel that we need to be more vigilant in terms of things that happen. They need to be brought up right away.
Yeah.
You know, and I know in some cases it's hard to do it, but I'm the kind of person that if you need to go through the whole process of either bringing up some issues, they need to be done the proper way. They need to be brought up to the, you know, responsible people, first of all, and you need to go to the, you know, your whatever's next, either your local police or an investigator or whoever. They need to know. The law needs to know right away. I mean, again, I hate to go off tangents, but the U.S. gymnastics team, I mean, all these girls that this monster abused, like hundreds, these people knew. So they just ignored just because he was that guy. But see, that's the problem, you know, not no matter how much cancel culture you apply to that guy, it happened and it's done. That's why we need to be more vigilant and on stuff that happens in real life, actual moment, not wait. Again, I understand that for some people it's such a traumatic thing, but we just need to be just always be vigilant about these things. It's the same thing we apply to the record industry. You know, if we have issues, we got to tackle those issues right away, because if you let them go and go and go, and you create a monster, you know. And for us, it's been, thankfully, we've had a good reputation overall because we try to, you know, we try to fix any sort of bad press right away. You know, either these people need to be investigated, or they need to send a press release admitting to what, you know. Again, thankfully for me, we haven't really been involved in a lot of these cases, you know. No Manson case, you know, but again, it just, part of me sympathizes with, if something bad happened, absolutely, it shouldn't be, you know, anyone doing something to you against your will should be punishable, no doubt. However, if you change your mind 10 years because you found God, I don't think that person definitely needs other people to defend him or her just because they made that decision, you know, before, and they were perfectly okay with that. So again, just it's not just a black or white thing, you know, like people make it. It's very simple, you know. They think you're guilty and they'll cancel you. It's not that easy, you know.
Yeah, it's like the whole Johnny Depp scandal, isn't it? It's like, well, everybody was dropping him, and then, you know, it's gone to court and it's looking like she is actually the abuser, and it's like, bloody hell, you know what I mean? It can ruin lives, both sides, like victim.
There's a lot of gray areas. There's the gray areas exist for a reason, and I think, like I said, you know, the problem that we have is, like, we live in a very extremist kind of society. It's either black or white. You're either left or right. You're either crazy or sane, and sometimes you gotta be a little crazy, or sometimes you gotta be a little sane. Depends, you know. That's why I'm like, I just don't subscribe to either of the extremes, because any extreme is bad. And it just, sadly for us, at least in the US, we live in a time where politics are extreme, entertainment is extreme. It just sucks because, you know, entertainment should not be based on extremes. You know, there's a reason why entertainment is entertainment. That's what keeps us sane. And when that stops from being that, then we have a problem. And I think it's way deeper than anything we've ever dealt with. So there's probably things that, I don't know. I think a lot of things are going to continue to happen that way until, like, humans actually find a way to coexist or figure out these things. But again, that's why I'm like, I feel that certain things that don't need to, or we shouldn't require to spend too much time on, we should probably start ignoring a lot of that stuff. And when I say ignore, is basically pay attention to the things that you need to pay attention to, and ignore all the, you know, all this extreme behavior that, you know, they do it just to get your attention, right? And then once you're in, that's it. It's just like it's your own kryptonite, and it's their own, you know, like vitamins. You know what I mean? They become stronger, you know, because you give them the attention. So I think that's somewhat my point of view. I know that it's very difficult to actually have a very solid point of view on things like this, because there's always speculation, right? There's always an argument behind anything you say. And that's why I always try to just give my opinion on what I think things are. And that's what it is, just my opinion.
Yeah, no, we agree. We all have all, like, you know, we've all spoke about certain things anyway before, like we've done this interview just like in passing as friends and stuff. And, you know, we've all got our own opinions on how we feel about certain things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody should be made to feel bad for having their own personal opinion. As long as you're not putting it on anybody else, it's totally fine, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool.
With all of the talk about with like the internet and social media and how it helps and hurts bands, there's this whole nother thing that's happened recently for when it comes to record labels and technology, is we have this music sharing with Spotify and Apple Music, and it feels like there's all these different avenues for people to get their music. And I don't know if all of them are being so just to all these artists. And as someone that works with a record label, and you've watched the change go from record store making brick and mortar to now like everyone making their playlists on Spotify.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a firm believer of natural evolution. This is just an evolution of the genre or the art form, right? We tend to be extremely progressive in the way we think or push things. So as far as things that we could actually technically push, we do it, right? We were one of the first labels that fully embraced the whole digital age. There were a lot of labels that were holding off on getting their content on Spotify. They would just do half of an album, like, which is so weird. Like sometimes it'll be like, oh no, we're only gonna put 5 songs, and almost like samplers of sorts. And we're like, no, dude, it's like the moment illegal file sharing became an issue, that was it. For us, that was a turning point, because for us, I want to say that probably the healthiest state the music industry was when CDs were king, because CDs were everywhere and you made so much money out of CDs. You know, that was the highest percentage that was beneficial, not just for a label, but an artist. When you sold hundreds of thousands of CDs, you were king, right? So you were charting high, you were doing great. But unfortunately, because of what happened, whether the government decided not to help us the same way they helped the porn industry, as an example, I mean, they monitor all that stuff. If they're able to monitor porn, why is it that they weren't able to monitor illegal music file sharing? Well, that's because these old dinosaurs in the record industry never got together and came up with an agreement, right? That's basically what happened. Many people guilted Metallica for defending basically all of us, but they were right. Lars was right. I mean, I was always fully behind them taking the stance that they did against Napster, because, you know, the analogy, which I learned as analogy, like the drummer in Exodus said, okay, I like that car in that parking lot. I'm just going to drive off. I'm not going to pay for it. It's the same thing. Sure, you like this record and you're just going to steal it. It's the same thing, you know? So I think that streaming has been the best thing that ever happened to the record industry in terms of saving the record industry. That doesn't mean that their deals are the friendliest when it comes to either a record company or an artist. However, this is the only way that you're going to continue to build your catalog and you're going to make it available, and this is the way everyone's going to be able to consume your music. It's like, for bands, it's like, dude, it's like, this is it. Whether you like it or not, this is the only way you're going to be able to get your content out there. We got to embrace it, and we got to do the best we can to actually take advantage of all these things. Whether it's the playlisting, whether it's editorial, whether it's exclusive content, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's the new normal. You know, for us, we stopped, honestly, for us, it was just a little moment where we're like, oh shit, they don't pay well. But you know what? It's either getting that or not getting anything, because when illegal downloading was such a big issue, I mean, we saw those problems. You know, records would leak 3 months before the album came out, you know. I mean, that was insane. You know, when you had a record coming out in July and by April, it was already leaked. So then you'll have May, June, July, all those months that people already heard it. And then you walk and it's like, oh yeah, that new Meshuggah is really good. And I'm like, fuck, how did you hear that shit? Oh, it's on like this, and that. I was just like, man, it's just that. And usually it was because pressing plants will leak it. Someone would work on a pressing plant, pressing CDs or whatever, you know, they'll get a hold of it, and that was it. Or some retailer that got it way in advance. So yeah, streaming killed illegal downloading probably, or is killing it. I think streaming was able to change the culture, you know, because before you had these kids that would used to brag, oh, I got it first, you know, and it was this subculture of people downloading illegal stuff. I don't think people download stuff anymore, you know, because they just live off their cell phones, you know. So you don't want to put too much shit on your cell phone, because then you're going to have to pay extra. Yeah. They don't want to pay extra. So streaming is the key. And we make all of our content, you know, like we encourage our artists to be like, this is the new normal. Like, you know, it is what it is. Hopefully at some point we're able to collectively lobby for better terms for the artist. But I think the more content we have, you know, for example, the way, you know, algorithms are very complicated to the average person to understand, but the more content you have on Spotify, the more you actually make. This is just the general, you know, sure, it's a certain percentage, but that's if you only have one album. But if you have as a company, the larger our catalog, the better we get paid. So the better the artist makes the royalties. So yeah, it's like we're all in it together. And I think that us being an independent heavy metal label puts us more as a peer to the artist rather than this big old dude behind a desk, you know, like just raping them, you know, like late 80s, early 90s style. You know, let's be honest, that's what artists grew to hate.
Yeah.
That's the reason why a lot of these artists, whenever the record label conversation came, they're like, oh, screw these people. But no, like we're more on the peer-to-peer kind of basis, and they know, you know, just because my earlier commentary about us growing up with a lot of these artists, it's almost like now you know, we're working with the people that we love working with. So it's, these artists see it, and it's a completely different synergy. So right now it's the artist and the record label basically fighting to get better paid. You know what I mean? So it's totally different now.
Yeah, I mean, like from the thingy of Spotify is like you know, there's certain bands that I would have never gone out and listened to, and you find them like so you go into one band and it's got like a recommended artist below, and it's, well, yeah, it is taken out of their pockets in a sense, but I'm more likely to go and see somebody live now. Whereas like back in the early 2000s, I probably wouldn't have bothered as much. But whereas like now it's like I want to see that band live, so they're making money different ways. Like I do agree, I think they should pay artists a heck of a lot more than what they're doing, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's one of them, and it's like swings and roundabouts, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, I think until you're right, until something happens where there's more leveling of the playing fields. Like, for example, we have a great relationship with all of them, you know, whether it's Apple Music or Spotify or Deezer or whatever, right? So we have a great standing with all of them. I think it's just going to be collectively what the music industry, or I wouldn't say the music industry, what all the artists could do collectively to get better, you know, rates. So, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and that whole going down the rabbit hole because you find out about a lot of artists, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I've found so many new bands. Like, it's insane how many new stuff I wouldn't have even heard of them. Like, some of them I haven't never heard of before, and I'm like, who's this? I'm like, oh, you know. An album later, I'm like, I want to see these people live. I want to know more about them. So I suppose, like, it is. It's one of them. It's like, it's making more music more accessible to people, but there needs to be a bit more. Like, I'd quite happily pay double for my Spotify what I pay now. Yes, I have Spotify. So it's like now when somebody's like going, Spotify don't pay, and I'm like, I'm sorry. But I would happily pay double for what I'm getting, because, you know, or even potentially like X amount for each artist sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do that, because when you find somebody you really enjoy and you love, you want to support them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I think anyway.
I'm with you.
Sam and I have many, many nights where we sit down in the man cave with a bunch of drinks and we just go through Spotify, we go through YouTube, and we're like, ooh, who's that? Ooh, who's that? And we just sit and listen to music for hours, and we discover just a ton of new bands.
Cool.
And it's one of our favorite little pastimes we do together. And a lot of it comes from Spotify, just because they have those algorithms to do that.
Yeah.
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 Speaking of, yes. Yeah.
He heard his name.
As if on cue. There we go. Yeah.
There he is.
And I appear.
Is
that James Franco? Movie? Is that a James Franco T-shirt, Sam?
Franco taking a picture.
It's it's James Franco's selfie picture.
That's awesome. That guy's nuts.
I love it.
Yeah. People don't understand him.
He's crazy.
Yeah, he is. He is literally crazy.
And he's so smart.
I'll take the dog out.
All right.
Okay. You get to borrow Sam for a little bit.
All right.
There goes Buddy. Is there any bands, I don't know if you can say the names or not, is there any bands who have been like your kind of one that got away? We were like discussing this. It's like, is it ever like just fell through at the last minute and you're like, no, and they've been picked up by somebody else? Is there any bands that you've had like that? And if so, are you allowed to say the name?
Yeah. I mean, no one's gonna give me shit for saying the names. If anything, honestly, I haven't had. I don't want this to sound cocky or anything, but I think I've only lost a couple of bands, but they were major losses. I want to say that we could have had some artists earlier that went on to be massive, and unfortunately, not because of me, but the previous owner made the wrong decision, even though it was delivered on a silver platter. We could have had Volbeat, and we could have had Ghost, maybe, perhaps. So, yeah, so sometimes those things happen. I think every label is going to have a story. One of our A&Rs that has worked with me for almost 10 years now, he used to work at Roadrunner, and he was instrumental on signing a bunch of bands. He signed Slipknot, he signed Fear Factory, Type O Negative. He signed a bunch of classic bands that went on to be massive, Sepultura, all these bands, right? The one thing that he regrets was definitely, actually two, he tells me, he could have signed System of a Down, he could have signed Deftones, and he could have signed Pantera back when they were looking for a deal. And those were old deals that didn't happen because of the owner. So I'm sure, I don't know if I'm stealing his little story. He'll probably save that for his book. But yeah, those are, everyone's going to tell you, we've all had them. We've all had these stories where we could have had them. yeah, sometimes it's a little surreal, but you know, down the road, sometimes it's almost like a full circle. You
Yeah.
end up kind of like meeting up with these artists again years later. You know, it's happened to some of us. So yeah.
Is there any sort of like bands or artists that you look at and you're like, I'd love like you give like your right arm to work with?
Metallica. Actually, we kind of oddly have links to them because I've known a lot of the people in that camp behind the scenes and also front.
Mm-hmm.
As Sam knows, Kirk has been our very solid partner at Comic-Con for years in the past. And obviously when he had to go and make a record and tour, he wasn't able to go. So I had been bugging him to kind of come back and do stuff with us again, but you know, then this shit happens, right?
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, as far as releasing and marketing and doing their music and their catalog, yeah, that would be a dream come true. I mean, the same way Slayer was a dream come true for a lot of us, the same way Rob Zombie is a dream come true for a lot of us, and you know, stuff like that. So, but I think Metallica would actually be the one. After that, I don't know what band I would say. I don't know, maybe Tool. I don't know, something. So, but yeah, that will be the band for just because they, as a group, collectively, they're a bunch of sweethearts, and that enterprise is pretty awesome. You know what I mean? Like they're a behemoth of sorts. You know, they're the true example of how to run your band. You know,
Yeah.
maybe that didn't happen initially, maybe that's something that happened with time, but yeah, that definitely would be as far as ranking, that I'll probably be I'll become Cobra Commander the moment I sign Metallica.
Very good use of comparison. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I know Scotty would love to talk to Rob Zombie, but just for the horror aspect. She doesn't care about the music as much.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's gonna announce something pretty soon. He's doing something super fucking awesome, and I'm not gonna steal his thunder. Obviously, he will kill me, and I will kill myself to say that. But he's gonna announce something really awesome. In addition to a new record that's gonna come out in 2 weeks, obviously. But yeah, he's doing something really, really cool that we had already spoken to him about. This was the Comic-Con year that he was going to be with us. Actually, last year he was supposed to be with us because that's when we were going to do we were going to release the record. Actually, we've been trying to release this damn record for 2 years, but finally last year was supposed to be the Rob Zombie year, right? We were going to have Rob Zombie presence everywhere, and we were trying to get a show done for it. So obviously that didn't happen. So hopefully sometime in 2022, but yeah.
Well, after he announces if he'd like to do a Q&A, I'm sure Scotty would love to talk to him. So
I don't think I can handle that just yet.
He's been we'll check with him this time. I don't know if you guys have seen, but all the interviews are animated. So all the press that he's doing, Q&As, they're all animated and they're all being released. The first one just got released a couple of days ago, and it was awesome. It is awesome. So basically all the interviews now, he's going to be animated, which is super cool because it's not him. It's his voice, right? It's him. Like he did the interviews, the Q&As and stuff, but they're animated. It's like a complete, someone at the label came up with the idea. They told me, and I was like, that's fucking awesome. So then we asked Rob if he was interested, and he's like, he loved the idea. And for months, like we've had the animator work on the animation. So like, it's all like everything that he's doing for press is through being a cartoon. He's not doing face-to-face stuff, which is awesome, right?
I love it.
Seriously cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That man is so talented. It's insane.
Super talented. He's a Renaissance man, you know. And like I said, once he announces this stuff for a major company, I think people are gonna dig it because it would have been San Diego Comic-Con, perfect shoe-in. Yeah, but hey, first let's be alive
Yeah.
And then we'll, let's survive another year and then we'll circle back in 2020.
It's like, damn you, COVID.
That makes
I'm
sense.
getting
Yeah.
really excited now. I'm like, oh God. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Right, I'm done. Hang on. Where are we at? I've lost my list. I've lost everything. Can't cope.
Well, I did have one a little more technical question I wanted to throw your way, actually. So I do have a couple of friends who are sound engineers, producers, and whatnot. They of course they love digital editing. They think it's the best thing in the world. It makes their lives so much easier. But they always keep bemoaning the fact that they always complain that the sound isn't as crisp or as clean as back in the days of analog connectivity and actual vacuum tubes and whatnot. So a couple of the guys, I know a couple of sound engineers here in Chicago specifically, that still pay mega bucks for actual analog sound setups, and they do their recording that way still. Do you know anybody who still kind of feels that way too, or is everybody just completely embraced the way of digital? Analog is just a nostalgic thing. What's your feelings in that area?
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as like what, electric cars or combustion engines, right? So
Right,
it's just going to come down to your taste in the actual sound, and it really depends on the artist, because someone like Metallica, as an example, probably doesn't need their production to sound like the 1960s or the 70s, right? Because they need to be crisper, sharper for the type of music that they play. So as far as whether they want an organic production or not, or digital or whatever, I think it just comes down for it's the band's choice, right? It's what they're into. There's ways to make something sound like it was recorded in the 1960s and be 100% digital. This is how crazy technology is, right? Unless you're recording and you want the whole atmosphere of recording your record in a big drum room with real drums instead of sample drums like majority of people do these days, it's just personal choice and personal like preference, to be honest with you, because the way technology is now, they could pretty much do anything that sounds analog or organic or whatever. I think it's just the experience of the artist making their album, their art, in a way that they feel the most comfortable with. But I do think that certain artists, like, just take someone like Nine Inch Nails, right? I don't think that they would be the way they are had it not been for technology. They need to sound like a damn machine. They need to sound like that, right? So, but yeah, take another band for, I don't know. It's it's like there's a band called Corrosion of Conformity that they sound more like Black Sabbath. Of course, they want a more organic, less digital triggered sound. But then you have a super fast band that they need to have triggered drums, sample thing, and samples here and there. So digital helps them. It's all over the map, to be honest with you. We deal with a lot of artists. There's a lot of these bands that are from the New York hardcore scene. They need to have real drums. They need to have less technology involved in their music. They need to be more like basics, just bass guitar, drums, guitars, vocals. That's it. Nothing fancy. So it just depends on the artist, really. And I think that because of the miracles of production and how advanced technology is, we've been able to get equal, if not better sounding recordings for a way lower amount of money. That has helped a lot of artists. Of course, I would never talk anything bad about something like what Def Leppard did back in the 80s with Mutt Lange. Those were albums that in 1,000 years from now are still going to sound like pure solid gold. No doubt about it. The same way the AC/DC records that he did sound phenomenal 40 years after the fact. I mean, Back in Black was released 41 years ago. I mean, it's like, and you could still scare people with that, So it just depends on what the artist wants. Some of our artists, they've actually gone to producers and they're like, hey, we want to record on tape. We want analog tape. Okay, it's hard to get. So it just comes down to the way it gets edited and mixed and mastered. A lot of times you're going to lose a lot of your organic feel once it gets mixed or mastered. And so it's preference, but I think the fact that things are available for the artist, whether they want a full-on organic production, analog, or they want something that's more digital, it's I see both benefits, you know.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Then I did want to throw some GI Joe questions at you. Let's see how your GI Joe knowledge has retained over the years. So I got to get some of the easy questions out of the way first. So in the fight, Snake Eyes versus Quick Kick, who wins?
Snake Eyes and Quick Kick?
Yeah.
Wasn't that Storm Shadow and Quick Kick?
No. I know it normally would be Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I know. Just because everybody would ask that question, though. I'm mixing it up a little here. So Snake Eyes and Quick Kick.
Who would win? Is this a what if?
Yeah, what if? Yeah.
I think Snake Eyes would let him win just because Snake Eyes, he will just drop the mic. He will be such an easy target.
Okay.
That people are like, all right, I'm gonna let you win this one, and then Snake Eyes will probably fake his death by stopping his heart rate, and then appear to be dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll definitely take that one then.
Yeah.
Who created Serpentor?
In the comics or
Animated series?
Well, there's conflicting things. So obviously, I think it was Dr. Mindbender. That's because that's the reality. But in the movie, it was the underground creatures, Cobra Law.
What?
So
as soon as you said conflicting theories, I knew you were going to give me both answers. I'm impressed, sir. Thank you. Wow, nice. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Then the only other question I really had then, because the other ones I have are just way too easy at that point then, geez. Your opinion then, what was the best base for good guys, bad guys? Like, what was the best base in any of the GI Joe? Like, I mean, you got the original Joe headquarters, you got the Terrordrome. Me personally, I love the USS Flag myself. There was the pit.
It's a tie between the Defiant and the Flag.
I forgot about the Defiant. Damn, good call there. Okay, yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, if I knew about real important shit the way I know about this, it would probably be a better world, right? But whatever.
Damn. Okay. Your Joe knowledge, I'm suitably very impressed, sir. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you may have just made a really good friend there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You ever want to geek out on stuff? Sam will get you in contact with me. I'm always happy to geek out on this kind of stuff anytime.
Yeah, well, Sam knows. I mean, we brought music to that world because we knew that the connection was always there, and we kind of have made it an effort to do a lot of cool crossovers. I'm gonna dig down my archives and I'll get you. We did a crossover with Transformers a few years ago. We did a music sampler. We combine our logos. We combine the Autobots and the Decepticons with the Nuclear Blast logo, and it's like this explosion. This is when we brought Kirk Hammett. We did one of his guitars with the Transformers logo. We gave it away at the Hasbro booth. It was a big deal. And then Hasbro did a heavy metal group out of Autobots. So they had this it was one of their exclusives that year. They made the Autobots a metal band. So that was all inspired by our many conversations.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and then the following year, I think we did something with The Walking Dead. And then I don't remember, but I'm still working towards a proper GI Joe crossover. So hopefully soon.
Definitely. Oh, very cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's in talks, so hopefully
maybe it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I have to say, the person that Justin at Comic-Con, he told me that earlier in our first couple of years when he's like, hey, you gotta adapt your mission to what the mission is for Comic-Con. It's gotta make sense. And I was like, and ever since, we kind of like year after year, we come back with something that makes perfect sense, something that marries the culture of, comic books, toys, pop culture, and heavy metal. I've always seen the overlapping universe here, but we kind of make it very obvious sometimes because of all these cool crossovers that we've done over the years, and it's worked. I mean, we did that Hellraiser box set with the Meshuggah stuff inside. They sold out in an hour. We had no expectations. I have to say, my brother came up with the idea. So it was like the cube, like the Hellraiser cube.
Mm-hmm.
And inside we had a Meshuggah t-shirt and patch and sticker and dog tags and pin. It was all done like Hellraiser style. And it sold out. Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
I'm
So
gonna go
very
pick my
cool.
drop off the board.
there's a lot of cool stuff like that. So that, hopefully in the near future we'll continue to do stuff like that. But yeah, I'm waiting for the G.I. Joe collaboration. That one's gonna be awesome.
Don't you guys have don't you sponsor a battle bot too? Doesn't Nuclear Blast?
Oh yeah, of course.
No kidding.
It's a blacksmith.
Blacksmith. Yeah, Al Kindle from New Jersey. New Jersey boys. Yep. Huge Overkill fan. He hit us up and we're like, hell yeah, we'll do it. And yeah, he's that robot is responsible for one of the most like insane full of carnage battles ever. You know what I mean? They made the finals against I keep on forgetting the other robot's name, but it looks like a damn vacuum.
Tombstone, I think.
No, it was the one from the dudes in Brazil. Like these dudes are super cool, but that robot to me, it's like it looks like the bottom part of a vacuum. It's like no fun. Whereas Blacksmith, it's got the hammer and the fire, and it looks metal, and it looks fucking awesome. Yeah, that other one was just like whatever.
Yeah.
I have the robot here. See, I have a toy. Hold on.
We're happy to wait. Take your time, please. Definitely.
Yep.
You're welcome, Charlie.
Oh God, yes, thank you. Oh yeah.
You can see the Envy logo somewhere in there.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh, that is freaking cool.
Yeah. So
Oh.
yeah, we sponsor all kinds of stuff. So we also have a professional motocross team racing in the Supercross series. We have been working with them. So we're also involved with, motorsports and action sports and stuff like that. So, no limit on what we do.
I think Scotty was going to finish up with a couple car questions after she gets over her obsession over the Meshuggah merchandise she's not going to get.
Yeah, my brother Oscar came up with that. I'm not going to take the credit. He did it. He's been one of my mainstays at Comic-Con since we started. I work with my brother now, but then he worked for a different company, merchandise company, and he came up with those ideas. So now he's got his own business and he also works with me. So we do a lot of killer shit together. I'm going to ask him, see if he has pictures, and then I'll email the pictures. At least you get the pictures, right?
Yeah.
Better than nothing, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he might have like just the boxes like empty without anything, but I don't know. I'll ask him.
Okay. I was literally, when you were talking about, I was like, I was losing my mind.
Yeah. You almost broke her on that one, yeah.
Yeah. Professionalism's gone straight out the window. Not that we have much anyway, but that's not the point. So-
we probably didn't even get to half the questions, but this is one of the best Q&As we've had in a long.
I just suffer
We
from.
love it when these happen, yeah.
I
Yeah.
suffer from verbal diarrhea. I tell people that don't get me started because I just blabber.
Oh no, we want to get you started. We love it. We love a good
Hey,
chat.
listen. The reason why I don't give too many interviews in the metal press is because I could get in trouble. So I just, that's why I stop myself.
I don't blame you.
I say the truth too much sometimes. So
No, hands down, these are our absolute favorite kinds of Q&As because then A, we get a lot more than we expected. B, tangents are one of our favorite things in the world. And C, they're just so much more entertaining in general too. Sure, we have the questions as kind of a generic script, a general guideline for ourselves, but wherever it goes, we want it to be completely organic because we also want this to be entertaining for you as well too. If you have a good time, all the better. That's what we want you to feel comfortable and have a good time. So yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
And,
thank you.
You know, worst comes to the worst, we've still got other questions. So if you ever want to do a second one, we've got plenty of questions.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so favorite fast. This is gonna suck because it's gonna be so hard. What is your favorite car? Like, if you had to pick one, because I'm mean like that. Just one. Which one would it be?
I'm going to pretend that you asked my 7-year-old self. If you ask my 7-year-old self that question, he will probably tell you the proper answer. If you're asking the 43-year-old bastard now, I will probably collapse just trying to figure out which of the many awesome cars that I would buy if I had the money to buy them all. But asking my 7-year-old self, I will get the 1969 Charger from the Dukes of Hazzard. I know, not politically correct now to name your car the General Lee, but to hell with that.
Screw that. The General Lee rocks.
I love the General Lee. Was my first love. As far as when I grow up, I want to have that car. So I still want to get either 69 or 70 Dodge Charger, orange, Hemi orange, and just I know people with how loud this car is going to be. So that is my dream, and that's my favorite car. You could say if I, you know, it's still one of my favorite cars to this day, but being 7 or 8 or whatever, that was the car that I would have said right away. That was my favorite car. Obviously now,
if I can jump in there, I'm going to take a guess. The 43-year-old you, the 45-year-old me, the doors don't need to be welded shut though.
No, I'm not, although I wouldn't mind. I kind of have kept somewhat of a slim like figure to jump in there. But yes, I would definitely. I'm okay with the roll cage inside. I'm okay with probably not having back seats. I'm okay with just being a 2-seater. No problem. But yeah, doors need to open.
Agreed.
Are you keeping the horn? Are you going to keep the horn tone?
You know, not the Roach Coach horn, because now, see, that corrupted my ears. Because the moment I started hearing these the Roach Coaches, like, you know, these lunch trucks with the same horn, I was like, oh no, that would be the first thing. But hey, the General Lee all the way. That's one of my favorite cars of all time. Take that, cancel culture. So but now
good car.
no, I'm a huge Mopar fan. I'm currently restoring a 1970 Barracuda. It's a long process. It's gonna be done when it gets done. It's out in the desert. Someone who's a professional Mopar guy's fixing it for me. His name is Daryl. It's an AAR manual transmission Hemi Cuda. It's gonna be plum crazy, which is purple. This annoying metallic purple.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, that's the color because it looks like it could be a vehicle that Cobra uses. So I'm always aligned to the bad guys. So I have that. I have the 71 Roadrunner that I want to do like Richard Petty colors. My brother has the 67 Belvedere. We both have modern day Challengers. I have a 2015 Challenger Hellcat, Sublime Green with the blacked out hood, and he has a 2009 Challenger RT, both manual transmission. His is Hemi orange. So yeah, we're Mopar people, as you could tell. And
speaking of Hemi Orange. My husband his project car is a 1969 Valiant hardtop, and it's Hemi Orange that he's done himself.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like those little the demons, the little demons. I really like because they're tiny like the Mustangs, but they're really cool and they're not as played out as the, you know, or I also like the Panther pink color, even though it's like super obnoxious pink, but you know, they look cool.
Yeah.
It is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, but there you go, Scotty. That's my, but right now, like my list is way too long. I would probably, I would have like majority of the cars that I love are V8, although I wouldn't mind having a V10 super loud Ferrari or a Testarossa or I don't know. It's just I love cars, but I also love 911s turbos.
Yes.
That car is in my life in the near future. My little brother bought a 911, an 84 911. Actually, he's Mr. Mopar, but he loves Porsches too. So yeah. We are like the electric car's worst nightmare, you know? Like it's like, the Shelby, obviously the part that I have from a Shelby is my 428 Cobra Jet engine that's sitting in the back of my house. It needs to be ported and all that stuff. But yeah, I do have that same t-shirt. Jess. Yep, same color and everything.
Good job you didn't wear it, you'd be clashing.
I'll be honest, it's not mine. It's yeah.
Well, now it's yours.
Yeah. She likes that, isn't it, anyway?
His drawers are right next to mine, so I have easy access to it.
Does he wear your shirts too?
We share shirts. Whenever we buy stuff,
you should just start buying like girl fitted shirts just to fuck with them.
I have.
Oh my god, please do it. That'd be hilarious. So we can take the piss out of Sam and his girl shirt.
He'll wear it and he'll be like, "Is this a girl cut?" And I'll be like, "No."
She's like, "No, dude, it's just, you know, it's in. It's like shorter sleeves."
Shorter sleeves. It kind of cuts in the middle.
It's like, it's showing my belly. I was like, "No, dude, that just means that you're working out."
It must have shrunk differently in the dryer a little bit or something. That's all.
Yeah.
It's
the Target brand. We should just, you know.
Can't wait till Sam goes back and watches this video.
Like,
I know, I'm gonna be back in trouble.
He's gonna kill all of us.
Yeah.
Take myself back out of the hole. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Screw you guys. I'm not talking to any of you anymore. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Are you gonna ask me the car that I hate the most right now?
Please don't be the car that I really like, because I've got the picture right here. Which car do you hate the most?
Two. I hate Priuses and I hate what's that? I hate anything that this pompous guy does. What's his face?
Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I hate Teslas and I hate Priuses.
Okay.
They're masking this whole environmental thing for being green and all, but those battery packs, when they go into landfills, are more dangerous to the environment than anything you could think of. Like in 10 years, we're going to grow like 6 toes on each foot, you know, like this thing is that bad, you know? Anyway, so I just need to get it out. Like, I think this guy's full of himself and sure, perfect combustion engines, make them green and let people enjoy life.
Yeah.
Everything's about being fun. Don't make it miserable. Like these cars are just not fun. They're too quiet. They don't make noise. Like, what's the fun in it? You know?
Well, the one car that I definitely want is a Ford Mustang, like the 69 Ford Mustang, exactly like John Wick's car. Oh.
That's a Mach 1. That's the one I'm restoring.
Oh! Oh, can you please send some pictures when you've done it? So
it looks like a skeleton right now, to be honest with you. It's got the only things I've done to it, it's all the body work and I've put the suspension. Like, so the suspension is sitting on wheels, obviously, and it's just the skeleton. It's just the shell, right? I have the block by itself sitting in a pallet. So I have a bunch of miscellaneous parts, but it's all there. It's a California-made car. It was made in San Jose, California, as opposed to Detroit. Majority of the cars were made in Detroit. California cars were usually the ones that ended up with Carroll Shelby in Venice, California. So that particular Mach 1, as well as the Boss and the Shelbys and these cars that were going to be treated by Carroll Shelby and his team, they were made in San Jose. They were mostly reinforced just because they were going to be high performance, and they were going to come down here to Venice and get the racing treatment. So yeah, so it's all matching, you know, all the sheet metal matches original. Yeah, so
my high school, I know this is going to sound like a tangent, but it's actually not. My high school was actually founded in 1968, but because of high schools at the time, you had to have an animal mascot. So our mascot is the Mustang, but as far as, and this is still true to this day, as far as everyone is concerned, the real mascot of our high school is the 68 Mustang.
that's awesome.
So anytime we ever had any parades, we always had somebody riding an actual horse Mustang, but there was always at least one 68 Mustang in the parade, because that's our real mascot.
My sister-in-law has a 68 Mustang GT 2+2 fastback, black.
Nice.
It's called the Black Demon. A homeless person that she almost run over called it the Black Demon. We were down in Santa Monica, and we didn't see this guy coming out of, like, he just showed up. He came out of nowhere, and we're turning. She's driving, and we almost run him over. And the homeless is like, "Oh, this is a Black Demon," you know. And since then, we called it the Black Demon, and it's pretty awesome.
I love it.
That's one way to get a nickname.
Yeah, named by a homeless person.
There you go.
Oh, it's such a beautiful car. It's amazing. So,
And
yeah,
and this is the way a 68 looks, by the way. Look.
Oh,
Ooh.
oh my God.
So damn beautiful.
That's the back of the 68. I bought this because I'm gonna gift it to her. She doesn't know it for her birthday.
Nice.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
looks
so nice.
I like that.
There you go.
You have very good taste, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, that's what happens when you're old.
I don't think it's an old thing. I think it's just if you've got good taste.
I think I'm thankful that I was born in the late 70s, but I grew up in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And a very growing up in the 80s was awesome for many things. And I think experiencing the 90s was also good as a foundation to know what's right or wrong, because that was like getting us prepared for the 2000s. And right now it's been kind of shitty. So that's why we always go back to, hey, back in the 80s or back in like whatever, you know, like now I find myself sounding like the old people that I used to criticize. Oh, back in the days. And I do it. And, you know, I get it now. I totally get it. You know, now I just laugh because my grandfather used to say that. How can you like that? You know, like back when I was young, we used to do this. And I was like, all right, cool. Now I get it.
I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I think that is the majority. I think we've hit every section of our questions in the 2 hours we were here.
I went down the list, and I was like, these are all questions I'm gonna be able to answer, no problem. Like,
yeah. I think we hit most of them, honestly, within conversation.
Yeah.
But this has been amazing. This has been one of our best Q&As that we've done. Gotten so much information, such an insight you've given us into a world. You've just pulled back the curtains and let us see a part of a world that we probably would never get to see, which is so generous of you to do that.
Thank you.
For us.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And yeah, I think the last interview I did was for Polestar when Slayer was doing their farewell tour, and before that was Forbes. Before that was I don't know. I always turn down the metal press because it's, you know, it's like, what am I gonna say?
Yeah.
It's a metal label. Oh, surprise! You know?
Oh, we're curious. We're curious by nature, and we've been interviewing bands kind of from all over the globe at this point, and we're trying to understand kind of the business and that kind of whole world around us. So we really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us and inform us about the business side of things.
You guys are very welcome. Thank you, Jess.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. It's honestly, like I said, we've hardly touched on some of our questions. So like we've still got quite a lot, but if you ever want to do a second one, let us know. We have a lot of fun, don't we, guys? We always have a bit of a laugh, and we try and keep it quite lighthearted because that's where we want to go. It's more like a sit down and have a chat with somebody.
Yeah. Are you guys gonna do? Any of you are gonna go to Comic-Con when and if it opens?
That's the hope. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I'll be there.
Since we know Jess and Sam, definitely, we would love to. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's definitely more expensive to come from the UK though.
Yeah. Totally.
And like I said, I freaking love road trips. I'll drive. I got no problem with that in the slightest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once the world opens back up, you know, we plan to get out there. Like I said, if we can go and do the Hellfest at France, you know, that's our plan to go out there. Maybe I'll just grab Scotty as carry-on on our way from the UK.
You go.
Bring her on.
You can take the train.
Yeah.
She's tiny enough, actually. It won't be a problem. Yeah.
We'll just pack her up in a bag and we'll bring her with us.
And
awesome.
On top of that, the vast majority of us are planning on being out that way in October anyway for Jess and Sam's wedding. So
it happens.
Yeah, it'll happen.
It's gonna happen. If we have to go down to the courthouse and do that until we can have a party, we'll do that. But, yeah.
Very good.
She's already got so many bands invited. Every time we do an interview, it's like, you should come to Sam and Jess's wedding.
Imagine it'd be like a festival.
Yeah. Oh, that would be wicked, wouldn't it?
We can only hope if we had our way of what the wedding is going to be like.
You know, this day and age, just like do what the homeless people are doing. They have these like huge campouts, like you know what I mean? Like just take over a park and just bring a bunch of bands. Are the Cubs going to do anything? Probably not. You know,
well,
let's just say that we're homeless people.
One of the SCPD detectives is one of my bridesmaids, so he will
rat you out.
He won't rat us out. He'll tell them to shoo away.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Let's just say, you know, we're a homeless community, and we're just, you know, this is a wedding, you know, and they'll walk away. Trust me, there's a new mandate, at least here in LA, that you cannot touch homeless people or push them or tell them to leave.
Well,
that's why there's these huge
to look like trash for a day. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll just come in my jammy bottoms. That seems to be like a staple for these interviews. So I don't know if I want to go back to normal.
Oh, I'm over here taking notes. Don't worry, I'm good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sit down, Charles.
You got it.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, so much.
Thank you, guys. Good talking to all of you. And
all right, have a great one.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.